physician from Medipulse Hospital, Jodhpur, hosting another talk show of the legends of neurology. Today, the legend is Dr. Dhanpat Kochar, sir. The name very well known to all of us, the person who has developed neurology and has given a new shape and dimensions to neurology in whole of Western Rajasthan. He is the person who is the founder president of topical neurology subsection, which is the largest subsection on Yangon. So I welcome you, sir, to this talk show, and we are privileged to have you here on this desk. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kirti. Good morning to everybody. Before we really begin with the show, I just want to congratulate the whole team of IEN, Dr. Surya, yourself, Dr. Kirti, and Dr. Manashi Deshmukh, who are taking a lot of pain from last 2 days to make it a real nice show. Thank you very much once again. And this is something, a very new experience for me also, talking social things on a technical platform. It is something which is probably will be giving a new dimension to Indian Academy of Neurology. Lot of interaction, coming close to each other on both the grounds, science and society. Thank you very much once again to the whole team. And I think I feel really privileged, not you and not IN. I feel highly privileged that I got a chance for it so early. Thank you very much.
Most welcome, sir. We youngsters have to learn a lot from you, your teachings, your research work, everything. So how do you feel to be called as a legend in neurology?
No, so this is something which you have to pronounce. But for me, it is almost same whether it is a student or a teacher or a neurologist or a top neurologist or something like that. But then you see, we are all equal, and nobody is legend. Everybody is legend. Sometimes you talk of something which is probably not known to a professor, then you become legend, and something which you learn from the higher ones, then he becomes legend. And it is a sort of interconnection between each other, and a thought in your mind regarding me, that is more important than the place. So really, if you want to be a legend or something, to be called as a nice person, you have to be very good in expressing, communicating, giving what you have got, and sharing with each other. I think that it is not only science, but science and affection both.
Yes.
When these two things become together, then it becomes something very easy to achieve it early. So I think that is the important thing.
Very true, sir. Very true. Your childhood friends, your batchmates, your students really remember you a lot and have so much affection with you that I'll tell you in the end of the chat that you are really a true legend.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me something regarding
it
your
is their
childhood.
expression.
So tell me regarding your childhood, your native place, parents, siblings. We want to know regarding it.
Yes, this is very nice. But basically, we are from this Western Rajasthan.
Okay.
Our family is from Bikaner itself, and because of the connection with the business, my parents used to do business at Kolkata, and they used to come and go from Bikaner and Kolkata. We were having connection, but then you see, I was born in Bikaner, but my younger life, maybe up to fifth standard, was the all thing was at Kolkata. So my basic primary education was there, and then you see, because of some turmoil in the business, as happens all the time, we have to leave that place, and then we have to shift to the another place for getting a better opportunity of business. So my father shifted to Indore. So my middle education was in Madhya Pradesh, Indore.
Okay.
Again, because of some turmoil and all those things, then the family has to shift back to Bikaner. It is a blessing in disguise from Kolkata to Indore, and again to the very peripheral town at that time. I'm talking of somewhere in 1960s. So Bikaner was basically an backward, not backward, but then it was less connected with the other part of India and less known to the other part of India. But education-wise, probably it was really very good. Even at that time, there was a medical college over there.
Mm-hmm.
So when we shifted over here, then I had my other high school and that college education in Bikaner, and fortunately, maybe the shifting towards a comparatively little known area was a blessing for us because otherwise, maybe in Kolkata and Indore, the education would have been difficult and costlier. But then in Bikaner, it was easy and no cost, no cost. So it was very easy for us to continue with that. So that was the basic background by which we had the early education and that part of time, which was really very good and wonderful. Every place has got its own importance and experience and thrill. But then at the end of the day, everything was very nice. Mm.
So, what pursued you to do MBBS? Was it your dream profession, or someone in the family told you you should go ahead with either engineering or medicine? What was it?
You see, basically, I told you, we belong to a business family. So, always, most of the time, than not, at that time, the businessmen used to be rather uneducated, not very much educated. But then you see, my father was very educated, mother was not. But then you see, she all the time had something in her mind that we should go for a higher education. Not only higher education, but then she was very much pertinent. I got an elder sister, which was 2 years elder to me. She was always saying, "Well, I have not read, I am not educated, but my daughter has to become a doctor." So, without knowing what the doctor means and what the education of the doctor means, the thing which was she was having in her mind was that she has to become a doctor. Think of that. That you see, when we came over here, she has passed about her 10th standard over there in arts, in arts. But then you see, my mother was saying that she will become a doctor. How a arts student can become a doctor, she was not knowing it. But then the moment we shifted over here in Bikaner, then at that time she was in 11th standard. She and my father both tried their level best to give her admission in 11th standard in science, biology. And with great persuasion and knowing each other, we could do it.
Okay.
Not they could do it. And she was admitted in 11th standard with science and biology.
Hmm.
She couldn't make it 11th at that time, but then she could do it in the second year. So I was just following when she was to become a doctor, then I have also
Hmm.
to become a doctor. So I was 2 years behind. So I was also pursuing that. By the time we came over here in Bikaner, so because my mother was thinking that she will become doctor, so I have to also become doctor. And then by that time we will know that biology has to be taken. So we went to that direction.
Okay.
She passed her 11th standard in 2 years,
Hmm.
but then she could make 12th standard also. And medical education was free for girls at the time
Okay.
in Bikaner, in Rajasthan. So, no fees. You are living in an area where the medical college is about a kilometer away from your house.
Hmm.
No, nothing, no cost.
Hmm.
So she was admitted, and then I was also admitted because I always made my education and I could secure good marks over there. So there was no difficulty in getting the admission in MBBS. So we did it like that, and it was wonderful journey.
Yeah. Great.
But basically, it is not a journey. It was a dark instinct. She wanted that she has to become doctor. That was, I think, more important and she got the answer, and she got the things done. So that was the way we just entered in the MBBS course.
She laid the foundation of education in the family.
Yeah, she was very much for child education, and so for women education. She was the one which was having a great advocacy, and she always wanted that she should become doctor. I may become anything, but then she has to become doctor. So then,
You followed her path.
yeah, no. Then you see, everybody followed.
Very
I will
nice.
just tell you how the following went there afterward. But then you see, then it becomes a part. And then another thing was that medical education was the the, the very not very difficult to get over here.
Yeah.
It was very easy to get over here. अगर उस समय, if somebody asked at that time, what is the best thing which you can pursue? It was not engineering, it was not chartered accountant, it was not anything else. But the medical education was very easy to get in Bikaner. So she did it, and then I did it. And so later on, I got six, four sisters and two brothers.
Okay.
And the younger to me, she also pursued the same medical education. Then I got another sister who could not make it, tried up to MSc to enter, but then she couldn't. So she became a legend in commerce. And a younger brother, again, he could get it. So he again became a doctor. And younger to that, she couldn't make medical, but then she could get veterinary. Veterinary is also veterinary education is also there in Bikaner. So she got the admission. So four of us are doctor. One is in commerce and one is veterinary doctor.
Great. Truly inspiring, sir. Truly inspiring.
Yeah.
Okay. So you joined MBBS in 1968 in Bikaner.
I joined in 1964.
64.
I
Okay.
completed in 1968.
Okay. Okay. I have got some pics of your MBBS days. I'd like to share it.
Yeah.
Asking you one question, that any specific moment you can recall during your MBBS time which still brings smile to your face and you would like to share with us?
No. We had very nice. We were having actually at that time because of some internal disturbances. The batch was very big, and we were 200 odd students in our class. So it was very difficult for a class to be managed by a teacher. But then you see, it used to be managed. But there was a lot of good interaction between the teacher and the students. And we always used to have a very nice environment over there. Just to recall, these days you can get very good marks also, and distinction is also very. But when I studied, uh, distinction was not uh, received by too many of students. When it was the examination of pharmacology, so I was appearing the oral examination, and the examiner came from the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Professor Sanyal, I recall. He was taking the Viva, and he took it for a pretty long time, a very long time. He took it about maybe about more than 30 minutes. I didn't know what he wanted to dig out of me. But then at the end of that, he told me that you see, you have done very, very nice, and we are very glad. So I again started doing that emulsion and all those things which are being done in pharmacology examination. Then they called me again. So here we are, and you have done very nice. And what we know that we can do something better for you. So if you just answer few more questions, probably we will think of giving you a distinction in that. So they again talked to me for a pretty long time, maybe another 10 or 15 minutes. And then the things which I recall still was the final question. Suppose you are a man, the exact words were, you are a very crooked man and you are having a hobby of race course and you have got a horse with you, and what you will do so that he can do little bit more better than what is his outcome. It was a sort of the things which were written in only the advanced books of pharmacology. Probably I must have read also. So because we were very friendly, what I wanted to convey, you see, they were so friendly at that time. I told him that I will give a bottle of glucose and take him to that. He laughed at me. Bottle of glucose was, if that would have been the answer, anybody would have given. I didn't know how it came to me, so I told I will give him injection of morphine. I must have read somewhere morphine is a stimulant in horse as against the in human. So he just immediately stand up, shook hand, and told me, "Well done, you can go." And
Great.
still, the professor of pharmacology, he always say, "You are the only man who have snatched distinction from us." A similar recall when I was appearing for preventive and social medicine. So again, there was a long viva. I must have secured probably more than 75% already in theory. They were having with them. And the viva was very nicely going on. It took about more than half an hour. And Patnaik, Professor Patnaik, the head of department of All Institute, again Delhi, AIMS was the external examiner. He told me, "Well, well done, boy." He was very aged at that time. You are doing very well. Can you answer a few more questions so that we can think something better for you? I can, you go on. So, what I wanted to convey is that, you see, they were having a specific type of thoughts for selecting the person, for giving higher marks. The question was that he told me everything. Everything is all right. You have done very well. You are number one. But then we want to do something more. So listen to the question. If you are posted as a primary health doctor and I ask you, you have got a chappal with you and a full sleeve shirt. Which one we would like to take before you are going to the field? Now it was a very trickless question. But then you see, I asked immediately, it depends on where you want me to go. You have not told me whether it is desert, it is jungle, or it is hilly area. He could understand what I want to do. So no, okay, maybe you are half the time you are posted over there and half the time there. So I told, if it is a jungle, if it is a field, so I will bear, I would like to take a chappal so that I don't get the infections from the leg, the hookworm or all those things. And if it is northeast and that area where the mosquitoes are more, I would like to prevent myself from malaria, and I would like to have a full sleeve. He again the same thing followed. He asked me, thank you, dear. You can go. I got 82% marks in PSL again. So there were some events which I still recall, and I got thrilled
Yes.
because a simple 1 second deviation, 1 second answer would have changed what we could have received or what could have not received. So they are something which one can recall.
True
The,
presence of mind. And it's very inspiring to know that Sir has snatched the distinction from both the
yeah,
departments, both the tough
yeah,
departments of MBBS, pharmacology and PSF. Very
yeah,
nice, sir.
yeah.
Very inspiring. So, any memorable dialogue or teaching of your mentor which you have carried throughout your life?
I have two persons who have had a good influence on my career. One was Professor of Pharmacology, Professor Madan. So he always still he's 90 plus, and then still he always whenever we meet together, we meet. Of course, we are meeting still once or in 2 or 3 years. Then he always say that in every meeting he says he was the man who snatched. So this is he also remembers it and I also remember it. And another was Dr. Professor K.D. Gupta. He was professor of medicine. I did MD under him. He was a real genius person. So what I recall, he always used to say, whatever you are, at the end of the day, in society or in the field of medicine, is because of your patient. So always be very kind to the patient. Always be very fair to the patient. Don't try to cheat him. He is the man who has made you. He had made you the man. He had made you the person. He had made you earn more money. Everything in society, in field of science, whatever you are because of him only. Always listen him peacefully, eagerly. Don't scold him. Put everything for his benefit. So he always used to say, and he was always very kind. I still remember in his clinics, if we have a patient to whom we could not diagnose, those were the time when there was not too much of investigation. I did my house job in 1969. So even using mild sonography, they were also not over there at that time. Simple accident blood was the only thing which you could have done, or some invasive investigation. So he always used to give thorough, good time. If the patient is not diagnosed, treat it as a challenge. Don't say that you see, I had seen it 3 times or 4 times, I am not able to diagnose. Put everything, your worth, your wisdom, your education, and make it as a point that you have to make a clinical diagnosis. So I think most of our students in later part of my life also, we are great advocate of clinical medicine. So that was his teaching that be very kind, be very patient, don't scold him, and be very fair to him. Whatever you can do, always deliver to him. So we are still doing it, and all my students are also doing
Great. So these
it.
are
Yes.
the take-home teachings for all of us, that be very patient and kind to the patient and always strive your best to make the diagnosis. Thanks, sir.
He will, whenever he is taking round, and if bed number 5, if we have not come to a conclusion, then on every third day, he used to take this patient on the central table. And then he will take everybody, houseman, registrar, lecturer, reader, all of them we will sit together. And we will discuss only the patient to come to a diagnosis. And another very important thing is that I do not know, we know now today that on our round, if you have got any difficulty in getting things, these days the house staff or they will immediately see the Google and what net, and they will tell you, see, this is this and this in differential diagnosis. But think of 1969 or 70, whenever he used to take a round, there were two trolleys which were running simultaneously. One was having to wash his hand. Every time when he will be seeing the patient, there will be a compounder and the ward boy. He will wash his hand with soap. And another trolley on which there were at least 20 books. So if on bed number 5 you are finding that his patient having anemia, MCV is more, MCS is less, something like that, then he will immediately, everybody will discuss why it is. If you are not able to know it, open the book. Open the book over there itself. A trolley of book will run in the round. So these things was prevailing at that time also to get the answer immediately. And if you are not able to get the answer immediately, give extra time to the patient, maybe on a later day, to find a clinical diagnosis. So that was a very great teaching of that teacher actually.
So how you developed interest in neurology?
You see, number one, he was a very good neurologist himself, Dr. K. D. Gupta. He used to he used to dissect anything. I just want to say you when he was teaching Romberg sign, he said that ask the person if you want to see know about ataxia. Ask the person to stand up. If he is ataxic, then he is ataxic. But he is not ataxic, then you ask him to close the eye. Then he will become ataxic. Okay. So he is talking MBBS class. And then what he will say? You see, when the patient is having opening his eye, he is using his stick so that he is not falling. The moment you ask him to close the eye, the stick is gone.
Yes.
And then he will become so that stick is a sensitive.
Mm.
Now you imagine a teacher
Mm.
who is telling his MBBS students in
Mm.
that way. He was a great neurological teacher. In our MBBS teaching, he used to teach us neurology. And I still recall there were always 4 classes for localization of neurology in spinal cord. He used to take localization from C1 down to the Oda Equina in 4 classes to the MBBS student. MBBS, not even MD. So we were always having, he made the neurology so interesting. And the second thing was by default. We completed my MD in 72, there was an advertisement in 1973 that Austrian government is giving a scholarship for doing a course in neurology in Austria, and everything will be borne by Austrian government. I applied. There was one post. There was an interview in Delhi. 10 people sitting over there. There was 13 applications. I got selected. So because I was selected for the course of neurology in Vienna, on government expenses, Austrian government. So I made it like
Great.
that. So
So your
again back,
mentors have made the neurology very interesting during the MBBS time itself, and the seeds of
yeah.
neurology were sown at that very time.
And then I got a chance. I got a chance. So I made it like that.
So how was your experience there in Vienna?
It was a great institution. I worked in the University of Vienna. We know many good names. Dr. Bilroth, there is a Bilroth operation for gastric. We know Sigmund Freud, the great psychiatrist of the century. It was his institution over there. There was a very good department of neurology, and it was a real extreme change. The cases which we were seeing here was altogether different. In the very first month, it was a teaching. When in MD, if you say in differential diagnosis, there is always a long case of neurology, in MD. So you can never think of multiple sclerosis. In no
Yes.
differential diagnosis, you would come to a multiple sclerosis in India at that time. It was a basic teaching that it is non-existent in India. Yeah. And the moment I reached over there, the ward was full of multiple sclerosis. So it was the main disease they were there. Our stroke, low molecular weight dextran and heparin it was the beginning of that. The heparin was very difficult to decide. It was only clinical. No CT scan was not there at that time. So you have to decide clinically it is not hemorrhage. And then
Mm.
only you have to use heparin. Low molecular weight dextran that was just a new entry in the management. We were not doing it at that time, but there everybody was using low molecular weight dextran. And so there was a sharp change. I have got a very good exposure on many other diseases which we do not see over here. Incidentally, we were having a good movement disorder clinic also, and I I I, I, they taught at length the Meek syndrome, blepharospasm, Tourette syndrome, which probably we were not having any exposure over here. So the moment I came back, I had made some case record in Japi for Meek syndrome and blepharospasm, and I saw a family whom I thought he was a Tourette. So I made the inquiry, and once I see a patient of Tourette over there, after coming back, I put the family and I traced the whole family. So the biggest series of Tourette's disease, probably in India, goes with my name.
Great.
We made it at that time. So there is a Tourette's Disease Society. In 1982, they called me to present my work over there. So I went over there and we had a very large series of Tourette's disease. Even these days, we find it is a comparatively very unknown disease. At that time, I presented a series of 8 patients of Tourette in New York in 1982 on the invitation of International Tourette Society. So it was a very good. I got a very renowned professors over there. They were treating almost all the high dignitaries of world at that time. The They used to flow to China, they used to flow to Burma and Thailand for the management and treatment of the high profile and people of that region. Without naming the top people or the top bureaucrats of those people, they were being treated by, they were having a very good name and very good center. The treatment of Parkinson's also almost came on that those days on levodopa and carbidopa combination. So they used to take for two important personalities these combinations were there for their treatment. So in fact, it was a very good time, very good city, Vienna. Still, I say it's the best beautiful city in world even today. Very nice institution, very good people. The only thing was language. I I I I learned the learning language German there, and because German was the language over there. So, but then you see, in nutshell, it was a very good exposure and very good time.
So what brought you back to the Bikaner from
Yeah,
Vienna?
yeah, that is a very important thing. I was always feeling that I have to come back to medical college. I got a great opportunity to work in UK. From there, I went to UK from Vienna, and not many friends were working over there at that time, and they were always willing that I should work in UK because I could have worked as a neurologist over there at that time. But then you see, I was always having in the back of my mind that I have to come back not only to India but to Bikaner, and I have to work in the same atmosphere and the same college and the same arena from where I have started my career. So it was a very hard decision, it was a difficult decision. I have to jump out of that close friend circle. Most of them they are in UK, but it was a strong desire to work and working for the people here again and working and living in the family who had brought us to that level to work for to learn something more. I wanted to come back. So it was rather it's sort of a commitment towards the city and family. So that made me to come back. And at the end of the day, again, uh, it was a good decision.
Yes. So it was a self-motivation and destination that the people were Western Rajasthan got such a legend here that you came back and developed the services here. There is
Yes,
an incident which Sancheti sir and Ellen Agrawal sir told me that you struggled so hard to establish a CT scan machine in Bikaner. in
Yes.
early. Can you please tell me regarding it? I think it was immediately after coming back to Bikaner.
No, because I was having very good relation to the people over here and the teacher. They were also very friendly to me. So the moment I came back, I told that you see, I have to establish the department over here, and they were always very friendly, and they were always listening. But they see, at that time, to establish a new department required always a good amount of money, and money was very scarce at that time. You can imagine that how this scarce money was there at that time. We were working for a department of for a ward of medicine with 45 beds. You were allotted 60 X-ray film or 70 X-ray film in a month. I mean, you cannot go more than that. अभी आपका कोटा पूरा हो गया. If you so that was the amount of money which the government could have provided. So getting a new machine, easy machine, even you see, it was more costlier in comparison to today. Even today, you can get a easy machine in maybe 80,000 rupees or 1 lakh or 1.5 lakh. Or if you go highly sophisticated, you get in 2 or 3 lakh. I'm talking of 1970. Even at that time, it was 1 lakh.
Mm.
So it was really very very difficult to procure, but they were very good to me, my head of department, and I could procure a easy machine in maybe another. After coming over here, I got it in another 4 or 5 years. Then I got training and all those things, but then I established my department. In that sense, I I could procure a EMG machine, a highly highly sensitive EMG machine in 1990. Outcome of that machine, you just imagine the amount, the department which I could make without Department of Neurology. It was a part of Department of Neurology here, was a part of Department of Medicine. There were, I used to work on EMG, and in 1991 there was a paper of somatosensory evoked potential of brain of patients of cerebral malaria, which I presented in in France over there. So we could get from EMG machine very nice paper by 1990. So it took some time, but then we could get it. We could get it, and our department was no less department even at that time. Probably the I do not boast for it, but then the output of EMG machine and the papers presented, papers from EMG machine, the work which we did it were much more in 1990 from Bikaner than anywhere else in Rajasthan. You can imagine the somatosensory evoked potential from posterior tibial nerve is a real difficult task. In 1991, we did it in patients of leprosy, and that paper was published in the International Journal of Leprosy as a lead paper. Because why we did it in posterior tibial nerve? Because that was the only thing in which you can do the nerve conduction and central conduction. So nerve conduction you can study from that posterior tibial nerve and whole of spinal cord and brain. So that was the lead paper, and that was still a very nice study. So we had a very good department of neurology over here, and after struggling, we could get the best out of it.
So, how you developed interest in topical medicine, and then you laid the foundation of the subsection of IAN, topical medicine, which is the largest and most active subsection. So, how it all happened, and then coming to your original research on malaria. Please tell
Yeah.
us regarding this.
Now here is whatever you have got at your helm, at your working place, you have to combine it. So I was working in Department of Medicine and I was head of neurology. There was a big spurt of malaria. So I wanted to combine both this together. So I did some potential studies in malaria, and again there was I tell you every the newcomer in the field that be watchful. What is happening in the world? So there was a call that there is first international conference on tropical neurology will be held in Limoges, France. It came somewhere in 1990, 1989. So we did a study. We combined the malaria and neurology together, made this study, and I presented this paper over there. That was again, that was in the main section. That was the paper that was delivered over there. Professor Duma, I wrote him, what I want to convey here, that you have to be very vigilant. What is happening in the world, and you have to be very vigilant. That how can you make it possible? You don't have money. You can't go to Limoges and present your paper, and you can spend in 1990 2 lakh rupees or 1.5 lakh rupees over there. But then you get, if you have got something in your mind, that you can request him. That this is the thing which I have got. But this is my publication, this is my paper, this is my study. I don't have money. What can you help? So most of the time they're not. What will happen? They will ask you, okay, we will waive your registration fee. You write them again. Thank you very much. I am highly indebted, but I am still not possible to make it by journey wise. Maybe after some time they will write, okay, you are coming from a third world country, we will do it. Then you can again request, where is the hotel? Local accommodation. Without that, it will not be possible for me to make it. Then you say maybe that they will yield to your suggestion again. So I did it like that, and all the things were sponsored by them. I made my presentation over there. It was such a nice presentation. So they had another second international tropical neurology congress in 1994 at the same place. Again, they invited me, and then I put my again a paper. Now, how come tropical neurology over here? You see, in 1991, in that meet, Dr. Wadia, Dr. Singhal, Dr. Kamesh Dayal, all were there, and 5 days we were together. I always used to say Dr. Wadia was a great mentor in neurology. So he is a name in tropical neurology in the world. Last 50, 60, 70 years. We talked to him. उन्होंने कहा we are very old. You go and do something. 1991 and 1994, nothing could be done. We met again in 94 in Second World Congress of Tropical Neurology. Then NS Wadia told, what you did, sir, we will do. Again 94 and 97, nothing happened. Third World Congress of Tropical Neurology. Again I was invited and he was there. उन्होंने कहा दो तुम लोग तो कुछ भी नहीं करोगे. Yeah, somebody has to take a challenge. When I came back, fortunately I was attending all the 3 International Tropical Neurology Congress done by Professor Duma, and probably those were the only tropical neurology congresses at that time. After coming back, I talked to Sancheti that we have to do something. We have to do something. And then we made it, and by that, in the early 2000, maybe 2001 or something like that, we met in Nagpur. And we decided we should go for tropical neurology. He was very enthusiastic. Sancheti was very enthusiastic. 4-5 लोगों को नाम we put 7 members over there. But then you see, we made it one thing very clear. Every IEN we will be coming together, we'll be sitting together, maybe 7, 10, 11, 12. So by every year, the number went on increasing. Then you see many stalwarts, they were already with us. Dr. Bansal, Dr. Wadia, Dr. Aris Wadia, Dr. Surya, Dr. Mandi Ratna, Dr. Gorthi, Dr. Meshram, they were always with us. So every time they will be attending. I said gradually we increased the number, and when we were meeting together, then gradually it's swollen up. And since then, till date, we are having meeting every year, one meeting, one other conference, one national conference, and we are also having one uh, national conference of tropical neurology. And it is largely attended. Chandigarh, Mandrita did it, Dr. Lakshmi did it in Chennai, Dr. Mandrita, then another
We had in
Dr.
Jodhpur also. Sanjeti sir did it
Jodhpur
when I
twice,
was doing a DM resident.
yeah, twice in Jodhpur, once
Yeah.
in Chandigarh, once in Bikaner, once in Lucknow. So, and it is largely attended. Dr. U.K. Mishra, Garg, they were so much closely associated from a periphery. They were always very keen to join it. And Mishram did it, another international event about 3 years or 4 years back in Mumbai. I was vice president of that meet. And now he is the head of tropical neurology. World Congress of World Federation of Neurology has got a separate subgroup of tropical neurology. And Dr. Mishram is the head of that. So India is doing very well on tropical neurology. So we are very happy. The things which we did it, myself and Dr. Sancheti, is doing very well in India. Dr. Gagandeep. Yeah. So in second Congress, 1994, Dr. Gagandeep also joined. He was not in the first, but in the second, in Limousine was also there. So we were also always closely knitted and related.
Nice. So this was a journey of building up of the topical noise subsection. Very inspiring,
Yeah.
sir. Sir has credential of the largest series of adult cerebral malaria, and you were the pioneer in describing the hepatocyte dysfunction in falciparum malaria too. And I came to know that main thrust of interest was severe Vivax malaria, and thus the term is now universally accepted by WHO also.
Yes,
Great.
yes.
Um, your original research paper on severe Vivax malaria by Kochar et al. One was in 2005, one in 2009, and one is 2010. I think they have 380, 320, and 180 citations respectively. So it was totally and what is a enormous journey which you have taken in the field of topical neurology. Truly great work, sir. And we all youngsters are motivated by this, and we are privileged to have you here with us today. And just tell me one thing, sir, how difficult it was to get this term universally accepted that benign tertiary malaria is not definitely always benign. Tell us something regarding this.
So this is really good. Uh, and one thing I just wanted to share with you, something very nice. Uh, now, now the now I got three papers. Those three papers which have got more than 300 citation. I checked it only yesterday. One of my paper that has got 700 citation,
Great.
and the other two which were reeling towards 300 for a pretty long time, they have crossed 480 marks. So now there are three papers which are having more than 450. One is 700 citation. So this is something, this is a great feat. And when we quantify the research, then there is an indicator that is known as H index. I think you must be knowing what is H index. H index is just for those who are completely non-conversant with this term. H index is a term that this, if you are having a H index of 25, that means you have got 25 papers which have got more than 25 citation. 25 papers have more than 25 citation. So I have achieved the H index of 41. So 41 of my papers have got more than 41 citation. Another is I-10 index. I-10 is that those paper which have got more than 10 citation. So fortunately, I have achieved the I-10 index of more than 100. So more than 100 papers have achieved more than 10 citation. So that is something which is a unique feat. So what I wanted to convey, देखिए, I whatever you have told is, I think it is it's self-sufficient and it is very, very clear. What I wanted to convey here, that never believe what is written in the Western textbooks. If something is written and you are observing something different, then try to speak on your own. You have to you have to judge your judgment. You have to obey your feelings, and you have to work on that line. In every good textbook, they say that hepatic dysfunction never occur in malaria. If they have never occurred, so why there is jaundice? That is immunity jaundice, because there is this rupture of RBC. If it is rupture of RBC, then it has to be unconjugated. Why it is conjugated? So if it is a conjugated bilirubin, then it has got something to do with the liver. So in every world meeting, they say we do not know what is the cause of conjugated bilirubinemia, but it never causes changes in the liver. How come? How come? Then how it became conjugated? Never in the blood. Then we worked on it. They say hepatic encephalopathy never occurred. In WHO, all monuments, we are seeing the patient of hepatic encephalopathy here. So I documented. I did liver biopsy. I saw definite changes. Again, the largest series is with biopsy is under the name of Bikaner with us, that we had shown that it definitely causes liver changes. It causes hepatic encephalopathy. Now it is worldwide recorded and it is known. The things changes so sharply. And in 1990, they used to say that jaundice is very mild. As on 215, in whole of world, the jaundice is the important manifestation of malaria. So the things changes sharply. The phenotype changes sharply. You cannot go by the what is written in the textbook. If you have got a different observation, you have to observe it. Similarly, in 2000, we used to see that the patient is having cerebral malaria, but slide is showing Vivax. So trust on yourself. People, they are never used to trust on themselves. The boss will take the round and he will take his houseman, go and see again. See again, your thing is wrong. You see it again, it is Vivax. Again the boss will say, खराब हो गया दिमाग. It cannot be. Because it is not written over there. But when you see, if you are saying that it is like that, then you have to observe and you have to record it. So we were doing it and recording. In from 2000 to 2004, we were struggling that it is Vivax. But it can never happen because it cannot cause sequestration. Biomass is very less. People will say that you are laughing. So I used to attend meetings in Delhi, elsewhere in Barcelona. When I used to present my data, they just laughingly ignored it. They do not say it is wrong, but then you say, okay, we'll see to it. The most important thing, how we can go for confirmation. The only thing is PCR. Now, how to get it PCR? Then we approach Delhi people, nobody helped. Then we approach Lani people. They debate planning. They say that we can do it. We can do it. But how to take the samples over there? So again, I have got a very dedicated team of people working under me. Somehow or other, you know many of them, but they are highly dedicated. So they used to take blood. They used to put it in the ice box. One of them used to go in a bus at 3 o'clock, reach there at 9 o'clock, Lani, put the samples in fridge, minus it over there, and next day you to do this PCR. Then what we observed, we sent 15 samples, and 11 of them were positive for P virus family. So that was the first report, or the first authentic report in the world. I presented the paper in Emerging Infectious Disease, that is the journal of CDC at Atlanta. And nobody is going to accept it because it is not possible. I got it for correction at least 8 times. It was sent to about 7 referees, and then it was published with very, we will not publish it as a main theme paper, as a communication only. Then we will not put the name of severe vivax malaria. Then we will put the name of plasmodium vivax malaria. So you see inside whatever it is. So that was the lead paper. After that, we again reported in like 2009 about 40 patients, and then now today we have got more than 800 patients to our series. We have got children also. We have Dr. Kamar here. We asked in Department of Pediatrics here to see in the children. That was also published. And now you see, by 2009 or 2010, Government of India accepted it. In 2010, WHO accepted it. And now it is well accepted terminology, severe vivax malaria. But there is most of the previous important paper, they come from Bikaner. So that is the long journey, and it has
Yes.
got a very difficult struggling period to make it like that. But then you see, if you are sure in your mind that what you are saying is correct, then probably you will get the answer at the end of the day.
Great, sir. Getting the PCR done, arranging it, transporting the samples, and then publishing and making the whole world aware that benign tertiary is not that benign was a commendable job. So now coming to your advice to young researchers, what would you like to advise them?
Most of the advice which I wanted to share was already given.
Yes.
Yeah. The only thing is that never think that you cannot do it. You can do it. When I used to go to a ICMR, they will see you with a different angle from where you had come. Bikaner. One of them will say Bikaner, where it is. Another will say ये it is in the western part of Rajasthan. अच्छा था वहाँ पे भी रिसर्च होती है क्या ये तो they think that research is done only at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, PGI Chandigarh, Lucknow, Vellore, somewhere at the big centers, Mumbai. The moment you go with a proposal, it is basically ignored completely. But then if you put your there, if you put your pressure over there, in times to come with a primary result. And once you get a good primary result, then you see you are always taken as a motivational person. What I want to convey to the young researcher, maybe everybody, before you are going for a research, try to do on a research on a locally prevalent disease. अगर आप कैंसर ब्रेस्ट पे या पार्किंसनिज्म पे या और ऐसी डिजीज पे अभी स्टार्ट वर्किंग जो कि दुनिया सारी कर रही है अमेरिका पीपल आर आल्सो डूइंग एम्स वन आर आल्सो डूइंग आप यू कैन नॉट डू इट मोर देन दैट दे आल्सो हैव डायबिटीज सो सिलेक्ट a disease on which you want to work is prevalent there. What was good with me that I worked on always on a subject which is with me only. Machines are there, genetic sampling, which and anybody can do in America on PYX, but PYX patient is not with them. So if they want to do something on malaria, they have to come to the area. Similarly, my another important topic on which I am working and which goes by the name of Bikaner is porphyria. Yeah. So we have done a lot of work on porphyria. Again, the largest series of porphyria is from Bikaner. So you work on that, then you get a chance to know that. So I have to work on diabetes. I just give an example. I have to work on diabetes. So if I do anything, whatever you will do, you do any simple parameter, simple enzyme, simple gene, anybody will do it in diabetes. So what we did it in Bikaner, we did it effect of camel milk on diabetes. Now you see, in the whole world, the largest work camel milk on diabetes is from Bikaner. It's from our unit. We have got a very big, we produce diabetes in rats, streptozotocin, eroxon. We give them camel milk. We see the result early. We see the result later on. But if you give the patient daily camel milk, fresh camel milk daily in the morning, and see the effect on ILA or insulin or vertigo level, the Delhi people will, UK people, USA people will never be able to do it.
Yes.
So we have got more than 15 publications on camel milk on diabetes. Again, more than 100 citations, each of them, experimentally and non-experimentally. Similarly, another fancy with us is the Mandi bite. You must be seeing a patient of snake bite,
Yes.
the viper. Mandi which is locally prevalent in here, in Western Rajasthan. Again, we described it for the first time in world literature that there is some snake which goes by the name of Mandi. And we at Bikaner, I just tell you, again to the younger people, you work on that only. We are preparing. You must be using ASV.
Yes.
It is a polyvalent, in which only 5% is against Mandi. 97% is different. So the patient dies. So we thought, why not prepare a monovalent antibody rather than polyvalent antibody? How can you produce monovalent? You know the antigen. So one of my boy here, he is working on that since last 15 years.
Okay.
Took snakes, put snake in his house, in a room, took the venom antigen, defined it from Hopkins Institute. We produced antibodies. We did the studies in animal and antigen antibody reaction. We have got very strong antibodies against that antigen, and this is almost phase 2 trial has been done. And then we are working with that with the Hopkins Institute. Government of India has given us permission. Maybe in another 5 years, Bikaner will be producing monovalent antigen antibody against that snake, which is very prevalent in Bikaner and Jabalpur, Western Rajasthan. So, if you work on that, if you select the topic on which you can work, nobody can compete you.
Yes.
It may be any long journey, but there is no competitor.
So, how do you feel? Holding CMEs in that own parent institute is beneficial for the students or not?
Yeah. I think CME should be held. This is the duty of the people sitting on the top in the particular department. I just take an example for you. You are working in a hospital. You are attending a conference. You want to learn something about porphyria. I have to deliver a lecture in porphyria. You are very much interested in porphyria too. But then you say, I will be delivering a lecture in 15 minutes, 5 minutes. Okay, anything which you want to convey to me, you can talk in session outside. And you have got a distance between you and me. You just can't talk. If I'm even talking, taking a coffee at the another end of the hall, you will think probably I go or not go, I talk or not go. You will come again from that center to your house without having a good communication.
Yes.
If you hold a CME and if you talk me, if you call me for a talk, and if I come over there will be sharp interaction between you. In my time as head here, we used to hold CME in which we used to call almost 10 people from any subject just for a talk of neurology in Bikaner. I called the then Madhuri Bihari HOD AIMS, Manirata, UK Mishra, Dr. Gagandeep, Modi, Professor Satish Chandra, R.S. Wadia, Madam Gauri Devi. Now, they were here for 3 days. Now, you see, whole of my team here, they are one-to-one conversation with them.
Yes.
Now, you see how beneficial it is. How beneficial it is.
Mm.
I hold a meeting on rheumatology. I called Professor Ashoka, Professor Handa, he was the head of Department of AIMS, and all those who are having a name in rheumatology, they were here for 5 days, 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody was having one-to-one interaction. So why I say it has to be done, all my students of that time, they have got exposure for so-called lesion, which you say,
Yes.
in medicine. Almost all of them, they can say, yes, I know Shashank Joshi. He was here for 3 days. Yeah. आज शशांक जोशी से आप बात नहीं कर सकते.
Mm.
He is the name in diabetes. बंसी साबू, Ahmedabad, diabetes. He is a name. Everybody wants to have a peer with. But then this Bansi Sabu knows everybody in Bikaner. Every faculty in Bikaner, if you go and talk to Bansi Sabu, if you go and talk to Joshi, if you go and talk to Maniratna, you see, Gagandeep, if you go and talk to maybe Satish Chandra, Bangalore, he will never talk to you one-to-one. They
Mm.
don't have time. He knows every faculty in Bikaner, every faculty of medicine in Bikaner. So I know it is a very good exposure
Yes.
of students. And they feel that you see, you can also achieve the heights. They are also as simple as anybody else. Anybody else. So, I think we should do this.
So you have got 180 publications, many chapters in the books, many guest lectures and orations. How can you manage so much research accreditation while working in a peripheral medical college?
You have to stick to your cause. You maybe you are not honored at a this research and bodies when you are going for the first time. Whenever delivering something, they may not listen to you. But then you see, if you constantly go over there, you, I just want to share it. If you, what happens these days? You get a project, and out of that, one or two publications come out, and sometimes those are also rejected. Yeah. Most of our publication is without financial assistance from anybody. So it is a clinical motivation and putting yourself on the front line. I was closely associated with earlier 20 years back, 25 years back, nobody used to listen. But by the time I made my position, that Professor Ganguly, he was head of ICMR about 8 years back. He was the most successful person as a head of ICMR. He made the post very dignified. It is as good as just for your knowledge. Uh, he is a very he is equal to almost chief secretary of any state. The post head of the ICMR is almost equivalent administratively. He was head of ICMR for 4 years. By the time we made our presence over there, because at that time malaria and camel milk was at the top. He was so much impressed that he, in every lecture, he used to say, every lecture, anywhere, by inauguration, if you want to learn something, learn from Bikaner. Don't have any resources, but have a constant thought of moving high. So if they want to do work and they can do, everybody can do. In a period of 4 years, Dr. Ganguly came 4 times to Bikaner. He was so much attached to it, only because of the work. And work you can do it if you if you remain attached to that particular cause, and you see I have to achieve it, then definitely you will achieve it. Otherwise, in maybe early period when you really want, you may be thrown out. Nobody will listen you. and your experience will be so dull that sometimes you may think, "Marne do yaar." But if you just leave it like that, no, I have to achieve it, then you definitely, as on today, because the medical college has achieved a good place in research in all department of biotechnology in Delhi, even European Union, ICMR, they have got, they know Bikaner. They know Bikaner. What is Bikaner?
So your success mantra was hold on to your dreams and stop not until the goal is achieved. Am I right,
Yes,
sir?
yes. Till you don't achieve your goal, don't leave it.
Sir, you have been honored with so many awards. The list is long and we have very limited time. Can you just
Nice.
mention few of them?
Pardon?
Can you just mention few of them which are very close to your heart, the awards which you have been honored
Awards,
with?
yeah. no. It is the work which rewarding. I was the first thing which I felt very good was that I was called to Barcelona in somewhere in the in year 2002. They called me that we have got some inclining, we have known something from our Delhi people. ICEGB, International College of Scientific Engineering, Delhi. Chetan Fitness was there as a chief person on malaria. He told those people that gentleman is very high in malaria research. Today, as on day, he is chief of Happiness Institute, uh, Paris. There. So he told those people that if you want to do something on virus, then you call Dr. Kochar. So they called me. They- how we are seeing virus at a different angle. And then immediately later on, they asked me to come and join as an advisor to malaria vaccine over there. So those were the mm, meetings which I thought they made a turning point, and I feel markedly honored over there.
Recently, you have been facilitated in Jaipur for having 25 years of neurology service. And you also have been facilitated in INCON Raipur by CM Dr. Raman Singh at that time. The list is long, so I'm just mentioning very few.
No. Yeah, yeah.
Now, coming to say your family life. Just we all
Yes.
want to know regarding your better half. And specifically, I want to ask what habit in you she hates the most and what habit she admires the most.
No, uh, this is probably very difficult to answer question. Yeah. She is gynecologist. Yeah. She did an MS from Jaipur, and he was also on the top of her career. And as a student, he was very brilliant, gold medalist. Again, she joined over here as lecturer, and then we are here together since beginning, and we are having a very comfortable inning. She is also very hardworking. She did also, she also established many things, maybe this histoscopy, the difficult operations over here, and she is also doing very well. And one thing is very important, we have a very cohesive atmosphere at house, outside, and we try to solve because everything never goes straight. So whenever the things are not straight, at the end of the day, we patch it with making it straight completely. So there is no leftover for the next day, and
Yes.
that is the maybe important part of life. Otherwise, you just go on mumming it and humming it for that is this was good or this was bad. But then you see, her role is very important in making everything possible. It is not only me, but for the family also. She was working in a very tough department. Tough means very laborious department. working was very difficult. The staff was short. The bosses at that time were very much having specific thoughts in their mind. You imagine 3 lecturers, alternate day call duty, alternate day call duty. You have to come from your house. Every delivery has to be done by a consultant, and every fit of eclampsia has to be noted and talked to the HOD.
Mm.
So it was a real very difficult task. But then for 15 days she used to do an emergency. Even then she used to take care of the family, both up and down. Parents, you don't have much of the things to do. You have to do your housework also, the teaching of kids also, and how much she did it for the kids. That reflects how did they achieve. Just for your information, I got a son and a daughter,
Yes.
and since their primary education, since their beginning, my daughter and son, both they were highly laborious and intelligent. Intelligent not that I tell, but intelligent because the people tell. They were having position in board in 10th and 12th.
Mm.
Position in board is very difficult to achieve. Got admission for the first time in medical. Then the elder is daughter. She did MBBS from Bikaner. Then she was having something in her mind that I will not do it from Bikaner. So she did it from AIMS. So she did MS Gynae from AIMS, and again she worked there for senior resident there. But then you see, as you told, why I came back, I do not know why she came back. She also came back from Delhi to Bikaner. At present, she is having very good name in department. And my son, he did MBBS, he did MD, and then he did DM in neurology, and he is also working over here in neurology. My daughter is married to gastroenterologist. He is also working over here. So she is gynecologist, husband is gastroenterologist, my son is neurologist, and his wife is ophthalmologist. And both of them they are pursuing again good education. My daughter-in-law, she is he is working over here, and she has gone to UK for MCH in ophthalmology. So she presently she is pursuing MCH in ophthalmology.
Great, sir. Great.
So all these things is because of her constant supervision on the career, on their education, on their build-up. So now you can imagine, in spite of a working lady, if the outcome is such that the daughter is gynecologist and son is neurologist, so how much effort she must have put on.
So I just want to conclude and by saying these lines that you are a true legend not only in the field of neurology but as a person, as a clinician, as a researcher, as a father, and as a husband. You have been on the top in each and every field in rearing the kids and how successful and happy their kids are. With your permission, I would like to share some of my photographs, if you permit, sir. Yeah, I'd like to share one more uh, PowerPoint presentation. Yes, this is Indu Thanvi ma'am, and I would like to read out his message.
ये आवाज नहीं आ रही? हैं? इनको कहना पड़ेगा ना? कैसे करोगे? मेरे म्यूट किया क्या? नहीं, आ नहीं रही आवाज.
You are not able to hear, sir?
No, I'm not listening it.
Okay, then I will read out the message on her behalf. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Hello everyone, this is Dr. Indu Thanvi, Senior Professor, Medicine Department. First of all, many regards to you, Kochar sir, and many thanks to you, sir, for being such a great teacher and guide to me. It has been an incredible experience to work under your guidance. A great neurophysician of the time when CT scan and MRI were not around. His clinical acumen was excellent. I also had a privilege to work during malaria epidemic, and he has some amazing research work on malaria by his name. He is a great clinician, professionally and personally a great human being. I take privilege of this platform to convey my regards to you, sir. Your mentoring has meant so much to me. I can really never thank you enough. Wishing you a great life ahead.
Convey my thanks.
Is this audible, sir?
No.
Then I can skip this. This is a printed message from Dr. Ellen Agarwal, sir. Dr. Dhanpat Kochar is one of the senior most neurologists in Bikaner. He has helped in donation of CT scan machine. He has helped me in setting in Bikaner the department. In 1996, we were having many case discussions and used to refer me patient for operation because of good results. He is working on malaria. His son, Dr. Abhishek Kochar, is leading neurologist and referring many patients to me. Dr. Kochar is very fond of attending social functions, especially marriage.
Yeah.
This Pratap Sancheti sir has written for you. I first met Dr. Dhanpat Kochar during my third year residency for MD medicine at Sardar Patel Medical College, Bikaner. He was clinical tutor with my guru, is Dr. Gupta. He was not only highly academic, but was the most popular member in the department. He used to personally guide me in my academic uh, training, and I remember a lot about practical tips and training imparted during hospital and hospital tea tables. He often used to lighten our mood through his witty nature. Post MD, we used to frequently meet at various conferences and workshops, and we saw a new and thick bondage with the formation of tropical subsection of Indian Academy of Neurology on 28 October 2001 at Yangon. We started with 12 members with Dr. Kochar as his first president, and I had been working with him as a secretary. With his enthusiasm, topical neurology has now grown into one of the biggest subsections of IN. He is popular among both senior members and younger colleagues. His research work on malaria, particularly cerebral malaria and brucellosis, are infectious. Dr. Mrs. Kochar, a dynamic gynecologist full of affection, and is perhaps the main source of the upward journey of Dr. Dhanpat Kochar.
Correct.
So this is all which I have collected in such a short time.
Yeah.
I thank you all for your time and your patience and for all the enlightening words for our younger generation. Thanks a
Thank you,
lot,
Dr.
sir.
Kirti.
Thank you.
Before I finish, I've got few words. I'm highly thankful to everybody, IN functionaries, especially yourself, you have taken this much of time and good good exercise you have done last 2 days. And before I finish, I feel myself, whatever you think, I am highly indebted to my institution, my parents, and my family. Both up, my parents, side, my wife, below, my son and his wife, and again below, the kids. They provide such an ambience for me to work cohesively and go straight forward for my cause. At the end, I will request, I will request every person that if you have achieved something, always remember your seniors in college, in house, and never forget, never forget your institution.
Yes.
If you have, if you happen to do anything personally or by any means, you are known because of your institution, and institution is known because of you. So what I have done, I will be taking another 2 minutes. What I have done, we have made such an effort that we batchmate everywhere there is batchmate, but we meet on every 25th year. The batch who has passed, he meets here on 25th year. So it is well known who will be meeting in 2022, who will be meeting in 23, who will be meeting in 24. And what what we do it, what we do it, we call that some financial help for modernization of the institution. That is always desired, and we are doing it personally with every batch. So that gives a very good facelift, and some dark corners which are otherwise remains dark, they are better taken care of by a particular batch. For example, changed whole furniture of auditorium, one batch. E-library, Arvind Vyas batch, he was talked about that, made e-library AC. We whole council room, complete furniture change. So these some dark corner, they are always taken care of by the students. So always remember your college. If you will remember your college, they will always glow your future very much. Thank you very much. Thank you once again to you, your team, and IN, especially Dr. Surya. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot. It has been a very great pleasure.
Thank you.